On today's video, we're going to be installing our new aluminum ceiling furring kit. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, Matt here for AVC and welcome back to the shop. Like we said in the intro, today we are going to be taking a look at our ceiling furring kit for the Ford Transit. Now the ceiling furring kit is a fairly simple product, and that was the point. We wanted to make a simpler version of what we have done in the past and something that also mails out to you super easy at home. The first piece in my hands is our ceiling furring bracket. And this piece is a universal piece of aluminum that we've cut that lines up with some of the factory holes in the ceiling for alignment. Has some nice compliance to bend with the roof of the van, but is nice and stiff in this direction, which is where we need it to be nice and stiff. It does have some pre-cut holes here that you can either put in screws, you can match drill, prime, and put in rivets if you want to do rivets, or you can simply glue this up into place and let the glue hold it in. All three of those are going to work well, and we're going to do all three of those today. The next piece in the kit is going to be the rear section. The rear section goes on the top of your D-pillar, and this is going to plane out with the rest of the furring kit here in the front to give us a nice flat section all the way at the back of the van that gives us a nice solid place to secure our roof panel too. It does have some other alignment holes, like this little hole here you can see. That's going to align with some of the factory holes in the van. And those are just there so that everything gets lined up and you have a nice universal reference point for everybody's van. The last piece of our kit is our Baltic birch furring strip. And these are going to go in between the aluminum furring strips here. And they're going to kind of make up the entire kit from north to south in the van, or long ways in the van. This way we have one solid piece going front to back in the vehicle that we can screw our ceiling panels to. So no matter what you're making your ceiling out of, you're going to get a nice solid place to screw those panels to. Now we have the option to include a 1/4-inch Baltic birch furring strip in the kit, but if you want to cut your own at home, you want to make them at a 1/2 inch, you want to do your own thing, that's totally cool. That's why it's an option. And we have the cut list for all of these included in the product description. So you have all that information to make the furring strips for yourself. So with all that information out of the way, let's grab our parts and let's get into the van. So we're going to be installing the first strip here in the first roof rib of the van. And as you can see, we have a bunch of alignment holes here. And if we just hold it up to the ceiling, you can see how all of these line up with the factory holes in the van. Okay. And to do the first, we're just going to be installing it with a 3/4-inch self-drilling screw. And this is super easy. Just put one on our drill, hold our part into place. Okay. I like to get one on each side just to make sure that everything's lined up just right. Now that those three are holding it up, we're just going to hit 4 screws in each flange section here to make sure it's firmly attached to the rib. There's a few extra holes in here. If you want to hit those, it's totally fine to do that, but you don't necessarily need to. So we have 12 screws holding this piece in, and I'm just going to throw one more in the middle just because we have a little wiggle here. Okay, that firms it up a little bit. Okay, and we're all set. The second way we're going to install one of these furring strips is with a 3M 550 adhesive. Now this is a polyurethane adhesive that we use to glue in our subfloors. We've also used it to glue in other pieces in the van, and it's a great universal sealant and adhesive. It cures pretty quick, but it's still going to take a few hours to dry. So we got to consider that when we're installing this. The first step for this is going to be scuffing the paint. So we're just going to grab a 3M Scotch-Brite pad. We're just going to scuff all this area here. Okay, anywhere that it's going to make contact with the roof rib, we just want to degloss that paint. And we're going to take isopropyl alcohol and we're going to wipe that down just to degrease. Make sure all that extra, paint dust and stuff like that is off there, nice clean surface. While we're at it, we're also going to wipe down our aluminum bracket. Okay, just the center section is fine. Just the places where that adhesive is going to go. Now, if you're going to go this way, I do recommend prepping a few duct tape strips here to hold it in place while you go. Okay, with everything prepped now, we are going to apply our sealant to our roof rib because it's a lot easier to avoid all these holes and everything like that if we just apply it to the ceiling here. So you don't need to go crazy with it. It doesn't need to be super thick. I'm gonna avoid that dimpled pocket up there. I'm gonna throw some duct tape on my part. Okay, and we're just gonna use the same alignment holes and go ahead and hold it up into place. Okay, our duct tape is just here to hold it in place while the adhesive dries. And if you have any extra squeeze out, go ahead and clean that up with your isopropyl. Right there. The last way we're going to be installing this today is going to be with rivets, and we're going to start out by just putting 3 screws into this to hold it into place. So, same way, just like when we started, just line up our holes here. Okay, we don't need a ton of screws in it this time, just 3 of them. Make sure everything's where we want it to be. Then we're going to grab your rivet and the corresponding drill bit for your rivet. We use a 3/16 inch rivet, and that's what these holes are actually drilled out for. And we're just going to go through and match drill all the holes where we want to put a rivet. Okay. Make sure you have a drill stop on your drill so that you don't punch through that and actually dimple the roof of your van. Okay, and just skip the places where you put your screw. Now everything is pre-drilled. We're going to pull those last 3 screws out. And before we grab our paint, we're just going to hit those last 3 holes to make sure the holes are correctly sized. Okay, with all of our holes in the rib here now, we can just take our primer, whatever primer you're using for your van, and just make sure we prime up all of that metal. This is the main thing why people want to do this, is that they're worried about using self-tapping screws and not having every single metal surface primed and sealed. So if that's a concern for you, then doing this rivet method might be the way to go. But we gave these a few minutes to dry, so now everything should be nice and dry and ready to go. Just go ahead and grab your rivet gun and pop these into place. All right, with that last rivet in place, this thing is nice and solid, and we're ready to move on to the rear section. All right, the last section we're going to install directly to the van body is going to be this rear section, and it's gonna be a little bit hard to see on this video just because we've made some progress on this van and it's wrapped, but it's going to line up, these holes are gonna line up right here. The little tabbed holes that stick up above the level of the flap are gonna line up over here, okay? And it's pretty self-explanatory once it's in place. The main thing we have to work around is the rear view camera wire here. So let's go ahead and fish this into place first. And just turn our part into its correct orientation. Okay, and we have some of these rear lights that we're not using these wires, so let's just pull them over the top to get them out of the way. Then you can see here, we got this piece into place. These holes line up, this hole lines up, and down here, we have the same thing. So 4 holes for alignment. We're just gonna go ahead and put our self-tapping screws. If you're gonna glue it, you could glue it. If you're gonna do your rivets, you can put your rivets in. Today, we're just gonna put self-tapping screws on this one. Go over here, make sure we got it in the right spot. So we now have all of our aluminum furring pieces installed into the van, and we're going to install our first wooden furring strip. So this is just gonna slide over the top of our aluminum bracket, and we just wanna center this up on here. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but just like that. So now everything is above the height of those ribs, so we're pushing everything up nice and tight to the ceiling. This way, no matter what size furring strip you're putting in here, it's not gonna be adding any dimension to the interior of your van. That was kind of the purpose of this. We wanted to, expand upwards into the ceiling cavity rather than pushing things down into the van. Okay, on the sides here, this 6-inch strip is just going to line up with both edges of the bracket. Just like that. So up here in a spot where we have a fan in this opening, we don't actually have to add a furring strip here at all. If you wanted to have a little bit of blocking, you could put maybe just a square of wood here, just so you have something to tie the ceiling panel to. Our ceiling panel split is actually right here in the center of this fan, and so we really don't gain anything by adding anything to these ends. With these wooden furring strips in place, our installation is complete, and that is it for today's project. If you have questions about our aluminum ceiling furring kit or the installation process from today, go ahead and hit us up in the comments below. We're happy to answer your questions there. If you would like to order an aluminum ceiling furring kit for yourself, we have a link in the description. Go ahead and click that, and our team will get one on the way to you. If you would like your van to be professionally built by AVC, we have a link in the description as well. Go ahead and click that, and our team will get your project started. If you haven't yet, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye. Our aluminum furring, send you one ASAP. Let's start over. Okay. Kit is this project. Okay. Or this new. If you have questions about today's we said that. Okay. Let's start over. Okay. Go ahead.